Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's collective learning meeting. Today, we will be discussing the new System Dynamics micro courses, and I will be the presenter today. My name is Christine Tang. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to type them in the chat box or ask at any time, and Rafit will check the chat for me. So here's the agenda. We'll start with a few questions for you that we would like to know. And then I'll discuss what I understand about the structure and status of the micro courses, badges, and course. And if I make any mistakes, Rafid and Professor Redzicki, please feel free to correct me. Then I'll create a small, or not create, I will demo the current course in Canvas. Then I will explain how people can register, and then we'll have a roundtable discussion. And like I said before, please feel free to ask questions at any time. So first off, my questions to you are, have you ever taken an online micro course, which is a 4 to 5 week course? And have you ever taken a System Dynamics course? And this will be a poll. I forgot to take Suleiman out as a co-host so he can vote too, but it's okay. Okay. So one person said they have not, and one person says they have taken the System Dynamics course, but not an online micro course. And we have professors here. So I'm not so surprised. You most likely have taken System Dynamics courses many years ago. Okay. And next, these are some questions I would like you to think about, and we can discuss this later. How likely are you to enroll in a WPI System Dynamics micro course? And what would you like to see in these courses? So here's a graphic that I created to show you what I understand of the structure of these sessions, this program. So the first micro course is launching soon. The first one is System Dynamics Fundamentals. And after you complete the System Dynamics Fundamentals, you will receive a certificate of completion. Then you can move on to the second micro course, which is Real World Dynamic Models, which will be coming soon, later this summer. And after that, you also will get a certificate of completion. And the third micro course is the practice of system dynamics modeling, which will be hopefully out by the end of this summer. And after that, you also get a certificate of completion. Then after you finish all three micro courses, you can take or do a comprehensive assignment, which someone will grade, either a TA or a faculty member will grade that, and you can earn a WPI badge. And this badge is e-verifiable. So when an employer or somebody asks about this, there will be a link that they can click on to see that you received a WPI certified badge, that you have completed these and you're skilled in whatever course you're taking. Then after you do that, the 3 micro courses and the assignment, you can enroll as a WPI student and work with a mentor on a capstone project. So because you will be a WPI student, if you do this capstone project, you will have access to WPI software and other benefits. But this also means it will, oh, sorry, I forgot to say, the micro courses are self-paced. So you can do them at any time at your leisure. But the capstone project, you will have to do during the academic school year. Then once you complete all of that, that means you have earned credit for a System Dynamics Foundations course. And there will be other courses that you can stack on top of this, so you can customize your own learning experience. However, this is still a WPI work in progress, so stay tuned for more details. Next, I will go to the demo. So like I said, the first one is the System Dynamics fundamentals. Rafit has been working hard on revamping or restructuring videos and course materials from Professors Jim Hines, Jim Linus, and Oleg Pavlov. These are the learning outcomes. Understand the causes of dynamic behavior at a basic level, recognize a standard approach to developing system dynamics models, use the basic tools and techniques in developing these models. And this is the home page. And then you click on Welcome to the course, and you will have to go through these modules. And within each module, there's lecture 1, 1, 1, 2, etc. And you will need to complete them in order. So you see that these are grayed out. They will continue to be grayed out, not available until you complete lecture 1, part 1. So after each video, Rafit created quiz questions to check your understanding. You can also download these videos if it's too much for you to watch on your browser or you want to watch offline at some other time while you're driving. I hope not. I'm just joking. And you may also make comments, and your instructors and fellow classmates may be able to see that. And there's also closed captioning. I helped clean up the closed captioning, but if you take this course and you see if there are any typos or if I made any mistakes, please let me know. And we can change that and fix it. And in later videos, I think I made some funny comments that you can read because I'm a random person and I like to make comments. So now I would like to,
If I may comment, here
yes.
is, I think this closed captioning with transcript is downloadable. The script, correct me if I'm wrong.
I actually don't see this in student view, so I'm a little confused about that actually. On my side,
Okay.
I can
We'll
see
check
it.
that out, because this would be helpful to students who have who would remember to review from notes.
Yes, sorry, I didn't check that. I forgot to think
Fine.
about that. But I know that the closed captioning, the words show up on the screen while you're watching. Okay, so now I'd like to play something from a video I downloaded This is from lecture 4, part 1, and Jim Linus will be explaining stocks and flows.
In the term. And here I've got eggs as a stock and chickens as a stock. And I've got eggs being laid, and I've got eggs hatching, and I've got chickens dying. I guess we could have chickens being eaten there too, or eggs being eaten coming out of that. Is this correct? Well, maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. What are the units of chickens? Chickens aren't chickens, right? What are the units of eggs? Well, I guess, are eggs the units of chickens or not? Maybe. You could define it that, but what would happen if you had multiple chickens coming out of each egg, which sometimes happens, a double yolk.
Really?
Yeah, you don't get those too often anymore. But
You're such a farm boy.
I know. So anyway, suppose, let's break this off here. Let me have another chickens as a stock. And then I could have this chickens being born. And then I'm going to do what some people consider a no-no. I'm going to have a line from eggs hatching to chickens being born, and then I'm going to have chickens per egg. And so the units on this are eggs. The units are this are eggs, let's say, per day. Chickens lay eggs every day, usually. Eggs hatch, eggs per day. Chickens being born are in chickens per day. And so eggs hatching is in eggs per day. Chickens being born is in chickens per day. Notice if I multiply eggs per day by chickens per egg, this crosses out with that, and I've got chickens per day. My units balance. And we will see as we go through the term, having units balance is extremely important in system dynamics. We insist that you do this, mostly to make sure that you don't have mistakes in your models. Because if you don't have, I've seen many people getting started, even some people who've been working for long periods of time, that they'll have mistakes in their models that could have been detected if they'd only noticed that their units didn't balance.
Just to be clear on this picture, what you replaced the original chicken stock.
Yes.
I can't point to it. With a cloud.
I did. I put a little. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's what you did.
That's what I did, and it disappeared. This time it did disappear. Worked. So units must be consistent.
And what you're saying is that everything going through that pipe, so if you've got eggs per day going in, you got to have eggs per day coming out
right,
of
exactly.
any chain.
Exactly. So the units are going to be exactly the same.
Okay.
And notice that units must be consistent. So, for example, this is wrong. We have an inflow of apples. We buy apples. We eat apples and they become oranges? No, we don't have. So what's right is we've got an inflow of oranges, an outflow of oranges, an inflow of apples, and an outflow of apples. That's the right way of thinking about it. Is this correct? Salary increases motivation. Well, all right. Salary does increase motivation, doesn't it?
It does.
But what's the units on salary? Dollars. What's the units on motivation? Well, this is one of those soft variables Jim was talking about. Motivation could be an index, where 100 means you're really off the top of the at the top of the charts. 0 means you're in the dumps. So, what is this? Dollars per day becomes an index? No, that doesn't work. So the correct representation of this is that we have motivation that's an index that is changed by the index changing index per day, motivation units if you want to call it that, and salary has an impact on that, and we'll go into later in the term how to model something like that. But again, you can't have a stock of a salary moving into a stock of motivation without an intervening flow variable that is of a different different units. And I found this cartoon. And some of you may remember that the Mars lander, God, when was this? In 1999 now, crashed on the moon because they didn't have units balancing. One group, the JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, was using I don't know which was using which was metric, and one of the manufacturers was using the British system or the American system now. The British are on metric. So they had different units, and so they were, when they gave design specs and so forth, one was dealing in meters and the other was dealing in feet. And as you can see by this cartoon, let's see, meters to feet, feet to toes. Houston, we are the problem. So again, it does happen where you've got dimensional balance is a problem. Now, let me just say a few more things before we take a break here. Stocks are only affected by flows. This is wrong. Inflow of apples going into apples, outflow of apples. The number of apple pickers up here, number of apple pickers does not influence apples except through the flows. So the correct representation is to have number of apple pickers affecting the inflow of apples, not the number of apples directly. Stocks must be mutually exclusive. You have total population flowing into people older than 20, flowing into people older than 50, and so on. That's not right. These are all part of population. The right thing is people 0 to 20 is a stock flowing into people as they age, 21 to 50, and so on. And total population is the sum of these. Okay? Now, I've said that there are only stocks and flows. Are there anything else in the real world? In fact, there are, but...
Okay. And for those who just joined while we were playing this video, please feel free to ask questions at any time. So that was just a small segment of the lectures that students will be able to watch if you take this System Dynamics Fundamentals course. And I really enjoy watching Professors Jim's because they know a lot about simulation, and they're also educational and entertaining at the same time. It's the dynamic of them playing off each other is very cute, I guess you can say. And Rafit, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think there was a comment in the chat, and we forgot to mention that this is this experiment is using a classic material, which has been very, very popular in this dynamics program, and it's an introduction to repackage it in this format to try this mode of delivery. And also, I mean, the mode of delivery in terms of micro courses is not new, but stacking courses is the new experiment. So using the same pedagogical objectives and learning outcomes, this whole thing is segmented, and we're experimenting with it. And in order to test the concept, we started with the classic course. So that's, and the reason for picking this one is it kind of both interactive and kind of as Christine mentioned, funny. And this was based on past students who took the course, who still remember it compared to others, and they still go back to those material. And so that's something to let you know about. But other courses are coming up as we go forward, inshallah.
Yes. Anything else to add? Anyone else?
Yeah, Christine, let me weigh in, please, if that's all right. So I want to provide everybody with some context for what's going on. So we started our online education program in System Dynamics in like 2004. And we were one of the few programs on campus to do that. And back then we had a big TV studio, and you were like an anchor man or an anchor woman. There were cameras everywhere and a technician in the room switching camera angles and turning dials and moving levers and what have you. And we would send out the videos on DVDs by snail mail or something. I'm not sure, can't remember exactly how, but we started making a lot of money for the school. And so what did the school in its wisdom do? They said, well, we're going to take it away from you and we're going to handle it. And so they created some kind of a corporate education model where they would go to companies and say, put your employees through one of our programs. And then they had several by then, one of which was System Dynamics. And you're going to pay, your employees will pay the regular WPI tuition, which was approaching $5,000 per course. And what companies would do is say, well, first of all, what is System Dynamics? We don't even know. We had a bunch of people who had no idea really what it was. They mouthed a few words. And then the companies would say, well, that doesn't really, we don't want to pay to put all these people through a program. We don't really know what it is. What department is it in? Social science. Oh, so it's not a STEM area. We're Raytheon. We're an engineering centric company, so we don't even compensate employees for taking non-STEM areas. So what happened? Our enrollments plunged over a decade, and WPI concluded in 2018, nobody studies System Dynamics anymore, so we want to wash our hands of it. So we said, all right, we'll accept it back. You took it from us anyway. We'll accept it back and we'll do something with it. And WPI at the time was very unenthusiastic about online education, giving us any resources or whatever. Guess what happened? A pandemic. And everything went to online education, Zoom and what have you. Suddenly WPI has this epiphany and says, oh my gosh, we need to get our online house in order here. Who knows how to do this stuff at WPI? Oh, System Dynamics. So suddenly they were showering us with resources and help and what have you. And the idea was we need to rethink our online presence and make it in harmony with best practices in the industry and what have you. So what did we do? We said, let's run a pilot project and let's get Rafat to lead that effort for us and work with WPI's IT people to figure out what is the best practice in presenting an online course in 2021 and forward. And let's use an existing course, a legacy course, the Jim and Jim Show, an older version of our first course in System Dynamics 550. And so Rafat and the staff at WPI figured out how to sort of chop it up into thirds and what have you. These are these mini courses. WPI is also interested in doing what we're doing here across the university. So it's not just for System Dynamics, but whatever we figure out works or doesn't work, they're going to use that for the university's other online offerings. So we're the guinea pig. And so some of what we're being asked to do comes from the university, and it's university-wide. It has nothing to do with System Dynamics per se, but rather what the university has concluded it wants for to grant credentials and what have you. So if you want a badge rather than a certificate of completion, you have to do this assignment, as Christine has there in dark blue. That comes from WPI. They want a human graded or a human evaluated thing to experience, or whatever you want to say, to get a badge. Certificate of completion, different story. It can be just self-paced and online questions and stuff like that. In a similar vein, if you want to get university credit in the traditional sense, there has to be this capstone thing. So while the certificate of completion and the badge is self-paced pretty much, although you do have to do for the badge this human evaluated assignment, you can kind of work on the badges and certificates of completion at any time on your own, at your own pace. You're not a WPI student if you're doing those things. But if you want the university credit, now you have to enroll as a student And these sort of capstone things will be held fall semester, spring semester, summer session. And a faculty member will decide what it means to do a capstone thing. Obviously, it's course-centric. In an introductory course, it'll be a less demanding project than an advanced course and what have you. But the faculty will determine what that is, but you are now enrolled as a WPI student. So the idea here is to make these credits and badges and certificates of completion stackable in WPI terminology, so that you can kind of, you know, drink as much water as you want, but as you're drinking the water, you're accumulating these chips that you can eventually use to, you know, create a master's degree or what have you. Finally, we anticipate that our graduate certificate in system dynamics and our master's degrees will probably not be very popular. I'm hoping we're wrong, but I don't think we will be very popular in those areas. What we think is there's going to be a giant funnel. Lots and lots of people will be doing the certificates of completion and maybe the badges because they want to learn how to do system dynamics at a sort of a professional level. But they don't necessarily want university credit. They already have a terminal degree. They might be enrolled as let's say a doctoral student at another university somewhere in the world. They don't need credits. They don't need to be a WPI student, but they want to learn how to do system dynamics so they can use it, let's say, in their dissertation. So we anticipate a large number of students just taking these micro courses and learning how to do it. And then very few in the certificate, the master's program. And there's going to be somebody at the bottom of the funnel who wants to be a doctoral student. We figure anybody who's survived that funnel and keeps taking these mini courses and then assembling them into credits and what have you is probably going to be a pretty committed and a pretty well-trained doctoral student, so that when they get to the dissertation stage, they're going to be, we anticipate, quite good. So lots of good doctoral students will emerge, and then lots and lots of money generating sort of mini course students whose revenues will fund the doctoral students, the creation of new classes, and what have you. And one last point is we also anticipate that the core curriculum, the nuts and bolts, how do I build one of these models, that'll be popular, but then the domain area tracks that will initially follow the special interest group topics roughly of the society, economics, healthcare policy, and what have you, will be areas to build in. And so people won't necessarily sign up for courses because it's system dynamics, but rather they're interested in looking at economics or healthcare or whatever through a different lens. And they've heard like systems thinking is important or whatever, and they find us, and that attracts them to the program. So that's kind of the vision. It's in play. There's some financial. So I would say the thing that's, I said there was one more thing and there's several areas. One thing that's still in play from the university is the financials. We proposed a financial revenue sharing formula with the System Dynamics Society. They're going to help with marketing and what have you. And everybody kind of agreed it was fine. And then the main building got a hold of it and they said, well, we're going to have to take another look at these numbers and tweak things and what have you. So that's in play a little bit. Of course, the key is incentivizing people to create courses, either new ones or taking existing coursework and reconfiguring it according to this template that Rafat and the staff are preparing. And, you know, people have to, you know, some people will just do it for, you know, the good of the field or something, but a lot of people are going to want to be compensated, you know, if they're going to do this rather than something else, you know, what's in it for them? Are they going to get royalties or, you know, what have you, or what kind of time commitments? Are they going to have to do the grading? Are we going to have doctoral students doing the grading, TAs or whatever? So some of that is in play. And the university has said, the provost has said, go forward, this is great, but we'll get back to you on the numbers. So if somebody said to me, what are you going to pay me to do a course for you, Mike? I said, I don't know yet, because they haven't told me in the main building. But we're certainly aware that people need to be compensated and incentivized to do this stuff.
Thank you, Professor Redzicki. I know that there are people in the audience who I think are more interested in becoming teachers than being students currently, but for those who watch this video, each of the
Mike, yeah, Christine, I have a question for Mike. Has anyone constructed a model that unfolds the story that you just told us about the evolution from 2004 until now? There's an amazing amount of learning that you just provided us that would be marvelous not to lose.
The answer is no. Somebody should. What did that famous saying that I'm trying to remember. Will Fye used to say, the shoemakers are the worst shod. So we don't use system dynamics to analyze system dynamics ever.
Understood.
We should have this on an SDcast episode then, I guess. It's a verbal story, but if you're talking about a visual story, then someone would have to sit and do that.
Probably similar to what Gene has.
When you
last
send me
week,
the link to the, Christine, when you send me the link to the video, I will create you an unfolding story.
Thank you so much, Gene.
Thank you.
Okay. Where was I? Yes, so we're not sure about that pricing for the instructors, but each micro course is $199. And like Professor Redzicki said, we're working with the System Dynamics Society, and society members will have discount. And this is System Dynamics Society will also provide a small discount to non-members who use their link, their coupon code, and that is not out yet. So please subscribe to the System Dynamics Society's newsletter to learn more. Stay tuned on that, and please also subscribe to the WPI System Dynamics Club mailing list to know more about what we're doing and about these CLMs, these collective learning meetings. Oh, I also forgot to mention, because the micro courses are self-paced, you don't really have a community, but you're always welcome to join us in these CLMs and present what you're struggling on, your thoughts on courses or a project that you're doing with your company or at your university. These CLMs, collective learning meetings, are intended for work in progress. Okay.
Yeah, I think if I could just leap in here real quick on that matter, as long as somebody who's preparing a course for us and teaching a course for us follows the template, if there's any required, some of the stuff that's required will be from the university. They're free to do what they want, elsewhere in the course. So if somebody wanted to have an online community for who's ever taking the course at whatever time, at the CLM or some other time, they're perfectly welcome to do that sort of stuff. It would be more work on their part, but they might feel that there's a need to do that, right? And they notice that there's always 5 people or 7 people or 19 people at any given time sort of taking their course in the dynamics of peanut butter and hula hoops or whatever you're doing. You might want to do some other creative things. We certainly wouldn't stop anybody from doing stuff like that. Again, as long as the basic requirements of the template most imposed by the university are followed.
Okay. And next is our roundtable discussion. We're already doing that, but how likely are you to enroll? I think everybody here already completed and a lot of courses actually. And what would you like to see in these courses?
Christine, if I may, because before jumping, there are comments in the chat. I think this is from Gene. He said, I attended WPI courses years ago. They were adapted for people who wanted academic credits. but they were totally adapted for somebody working on real projects. And he followed up with a comment saying WPI should hire King Cooper for teaching courses. My for the teaching course become interesting. So this was in the chat.
So in terms of some new courses that we anticipate creating, one would be one in group model building. That the intention there would be somebody wants to really do this with a group of experts and stakeholders. How do you do it, right? Another one, we want to get Alex Smith, our behavioral economist, to bring in what is known about actual human decision making. And teach a course in that. And in fact, we have some of our doctoral students. Suleiman is one of us. Suleiman's still on board here. Yeah, for his dissertation, he's working with Alex in preparing system dynamics molecules that represent what behavioral economists know that humans really do. They're replicable in laboratory experiments and what have you, and trying to figure out, when is the appropriate time to utilize some of these molecules and what have you. So a course in that would be good. A course in turning a system dynamics model into a very good game or learning laboratory so that others can interact with the model that, is insightful. So I agree that's the sort of stuff that we need to make sure our folks can do so that they can actually build the bridge instead of just talking about the theory of bridge building, right? So.
Yeah, I have two questions. One is the prerequisite before the capstone project. Is it always 3 courses? Or before the assignment? Is it something like fixed? If so, Mike, you mentioned other courses as well. So it's gonna be like every time like a group of 3 courses before you go to the capstone project, or this hasn't been decided yet?
I would say that's a guideline. The idea that if you go all the way through the capstone, you're going to get a 3-credit course. So each of the micro courses or mini courses are essentially a credit, if you will. You don't get the credits until you do the capstone, but that was the thinking. Should it be a 4-credit course or something like that? I suppose that's possible. I don't think there's anything in the rule book that precludes that, or a 2-credit thing. It might make sense to divide a course in half rather than to thirds, or make a brand new course that has 4 parts instead of 3. I also think that the advanced courses there's going to be more mentorship needed in those areas. And, how self-paced can the advanced courses be? This I don't know yet. We haven't gotten that far. We've discussed it. We're worrying about it. Obviously, the more times you need a human to be involved, then there has to be more of a strict schedule or more of a structure. It can't be just totally do whatever you want, whenever you want, self-paced thing. And then people are going to want to be compensated for grading papers or holding office hours or what have you. So, at the introductory level, a lot of courses you can kind of get away with the self-paced thing and a capstone, but the advanced courses, we haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah. My second question.
All thoughts are welcome.
Yeah. My second question is about the potential instructors. So is it advertised on the microcourse website, or this is still under discussion?
Potential instructors, or who the instructor is for a course?
Yeah, like those who might be interested to prepare courses for this program.
Okay, so another thing I didn't mention. So what we're also doing is we're working with WPI's IT staff. They're specialists in online education, course development and all that stuff. And we're going to be preparing a training program for anyone who wishes to do this stuff. Like, what are the WPI requirements? What are the best practices? Examples of how we've taken an existing course and chopped it up appropriately, and so on and so forth. A lot of it is going to be let's look at all the cool tools inside of the Canvas platform. So for example, Christine had pointed this out, she's spot on. You know, some people are gonna need a transcript of the lectures because they're hearing impaired, or they can read English, but they don't understand it very well because they're not a native English speaker or what have you. And so Canvas does have a feature that you can use to transcribe a lecture. I didn't know that. That's one of these Easter eggs inside of the Canvas platform. So there's a lot of that as well. So we're going to send that out to obviously all of our existing instructors, as well as people we know who might be approached to create a course or who have expressed an interest in preparing a course. There have been many of folks like this. So if you know anybody who should be invited to this first training, the first training session will be kind of an informational one, sweeping overview stuff. And then ideally, and in the fullness of time, we'll have, you know, like a YouTube channel or something, but training videos and webinars, and the IT staff here has offered to do one-on-one to help somebody one-on-one to prepare a course if they're stuck on this or that. So we'll be sending out notification, you know, in the near term, next couple of weeks, indicating there's going to be one of these Zoom meeting webinar things for any potential instructor, anybody who's thinking about doing this. And we'll ask, you know, if we're missing somebody from our mailing list, forward it to somebody that we've forgotten or didn't realize they wanted to do this. And we'll set the expectations for, you know, here's what you got to do. Some people will get right on it, and other people will say, all right, a year from now in the summer, I'll have time to do that. But they're aware of it, you know, what has to be done. So Suleiman, we're gonna ask you to do something for us, prepare a course for us.
Okay.
And ideally, we'd like to get
WPI
tracks.
folks who help are instructional designers, not only IT. So they help with the design of the material so that people have, can be engaged with it, etc. So it's not just a technical side; it's also the instructional side to it. That's
Yeah,
what
they're familiar with the
value
best
added part.
practices.
Also.
Yeah, they're familiar with the best practices in the industry.
Yeah.
And what have you. So yeah, they're very helpful. They're very good.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a couple, of course.
Oh, go ahead, Gene.
All right. So Sengi said that one of our greatest learning disabilities is to become what we do. So system dynamics people want to teach system dynamics. What was it that you were interested in before you learned system dynamics? Aren't people out in the real world really interested in having someone help them better understand and deal with the problems that they're facing on an ongoing basis? In other words, the person who just wants to learn system dynamics is probably mentally irregular, though it is probably the best way to really understand and figure out how to deal with the problems that you're wrestling with. So the approach to teaching someone or helping someone understand how to approach understanding a problem from a modeling perspective has to be more focused on what it is they're trying to understand rather than what it is we're trying to teach. Now, some of you already, in other words, I had an accident at one point in time where I was invited to a conference to do a 4-hour workshop that I forgot was supposed to be a workshop. And I had all this material presented that Even I wouldn't want to listen to me for 4 hours. And while having breakfast in the morning, I remembered that I was supposed to do a workshop and I was totally unprepared. So while I finished my coffee, I developed a workshop that started off like this. I walked into a room of about 35 people who were sitting at 5 or 6 different tables. And I said, take out a piece of paper. On this piece of paper, write a dot, make a dot, label it cat. A couple inches away from it, another dot, label it mouse. Now draw an arrow from cat to mouse and label it chases. You have now developed your first relationship model, and if you feel faint, you should leave now. This group of people were absolutely out of control for 4 hours, and at the end of 4 hours, they were developing extremely complex relationship models and telling stories to each other about how those models helped them understand what it was they were wrestling with on an ongoing basis. I learned more in that 4 hours than they did. And it wasn't me teaching them modeling, it was them. In other words, the only person that doesn't understand dynamics are dead people, because we go through it in our mind on an ongoing basis. If you don't understand balancing loops, you can't get out of bed in the morning, because you wake up and you're hungry, so you go through this whole routine of getting up and getting dressed, taking a shower, getting dressed, going to the kitchen, eating breakfast, and you complete the balancing loop and you're no longer hungry. So you can equate people with the structures and the nature of the simulations in a manner of simply asking them questions to draw out stuff that they already know. So you don't end up teaching them system dynamics, you end up allowing them to become aware of most of what they already know. So a course is set up to help people better understand the nature of what they're wrestling with and how to deal with them would be far more attractive than a course on system dynamics. No, I'll shut up. Sorry.
And like what Professor Radzicki said, we want this to follow the SIGs, the special interest groups of the System Dynamics Society. So like health, economics. And Ken Cooper's talked to me before we started this recording about litigation. So that's what I understand. This is the direction. And then there's also the people who really want to be serious modelers. The methodological courses will be doing both.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a committee to decide if let's say, I'll give you an extreme example. If John Sturman came to me and said, Mike, I'd like to prepare a course for you, I'm not going to say, well, Mr. What's your name, Sturman, send me a syllabus and a committee will evaluate whether or not you're good enough to teach for us. We know John. We would say, fine, John, please go ahead. On the other hand, if it's somebody we're really not familiar with, or we might know them as a person, but we don't know their system dynamics acumen or what they're planning to do, we would ask them to prepare a proposal for us, a potential syllabus, and whatever about. So what are you going to do? And if it's good, I mean, if everybody thinks it's something that can add value, please go ahead and prepare it. So if there's a different way to approach things, whether it's the nuts and bolts of system dynamics, so domain area that's emphasized, what you've sort of described, Gene, if there's a better way to do it and you want to prepare something, yeah, let's, who knows? We don't have all the answers. We don't know what the thing is going to be to make people really want to study this stuff and master this stuff. And if there's something we're missing or somebody has a better way of doing it, we're all ears. You're welcome to prepare something for us.
Understood.
I think the litigation support idea probably has a lot of legs. I think that's a very good idea, particularly when you can cite court cases where system dynamics was actually used or could be used in litigation, you know, to civil suits and what have you, you know. So there's probably a bunch of good stuff there. Every law school in the country will be sending their students.
Yeah, I would I hope that that's something that could be developed. There it is. I don't know if you're completely joking about the law schools, but I think that in my experience, the entire profession of attorneys, at least good ones, take very well to the concepts of system dynamics, especially if they think that it can help them win a bundle of money for their clients.
Well, I'm just getting hired to do some expert witness stuff in London on an opioid case using system dynamics. So I'm a living example that this is being done. So, so yeah, I think it has a lot of legs. Even if I wasn't involved in this thing, I think it's a great idea.
Okay. No, Rafa?
No, I'm just very happy because this platform is always help us learn something new and share work in progress, including but not limited to building courses. I mean, the CLM.
Mm-hmm.
So if the folks
So
on
it's an
this
experiment, and we hope to learn more. No.
So if the folks on this CLM today wish to receive an invitation to the, let's call it a webinar where we, it'll probably be the design specialist and Rafat explaining the best practice and the template, and here's what you got to do in order to prepare a course for this program. If you want to be invited to that, we're pleased to do that. It's probably going to be held in the next couple of weeks. Being summer is, for at least academics, a good time to get stuff done like that. So we'll ask Christine to pass along the email addresses if you want to be invited. Happy to do that. And pass it along to others if there's somebody you know who should be invited. And like I said before, and we didn't, please share that with them as well.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if we want to address the comment in the chat where someone was unhappy about a course. And that's what these sessions are for. I hope that we can have an open discussion and people can tell us what they like and don't like, and we're here to help you. And actually, I'm a student too, so I would like to make comments and go back and forth with professors.
Well, my only reaction to that is we've learned a lot as a field on how and as online educators as to how to do it well and how to do it poorly. And the design specialists are really, really good at that in terms of knowing what the best practices are and what frustrates people and what have you. So, you know, the webinar I just mentioned a moment ago will be designed to, you know, tell people here's what, you know, the sorts of things that have to happen if you want to prepare something for this program, because obviously we want it to be of the highest quality possible, reflecting best practices and what have you. And then if you don't know how to do something, like I certainly don't know, I was just at our other meeting, I was learning stuff and I'd been teaching online for, you know, since 2004. So I'm all ears always as well. Is there a better way to do something or some new feature or whatever that we can utilize? So to the extent our instructors can, you know, follow those guidelines and what have you, I think we'll have a better outcome. Perfect? No, but.
Okay, we're almost at the top of the hour. Any last parting comments? Okay. Not, I just would like to remind people that next week is the peer tutoring session. And in 2 weeks, we'll be co-hosting with the economics special interest group of the System Dynamics Society. And Aman and Ivan will be presenting on institutional economics. Sorry, I'm not an economist. I'm not very familiar with what they're going to talk about. I'm just an organizer. And then we have an open slot on July 16th. So if anybody would like to share their work, please sign up.